Former Weather Underground leader Sharon Solar,
one of the longest-standing fugitives on the FBI's most wanted list, was arrested yesterday, 30 years after the notorious Bank of Michigan robbery, which resulted in the death of a guard.
What's wrong? You look weird.
I'm fine, honey.
You on your way to New York to turn yourself in?
Don't move! Hands in the air!
I thought that would bring me peace.
Why now after 30 years?
I feel like with Robert Redford, it's like a science experiment watching him disintegrate. You know what I mean?
Watch him dissolve.
He's the incredible melting man. Really, like Paul Newman got out the moment Crack started the show. He's like, fuck this, I'm gone. I want him to remember me.
Hey, now.
I want him to remember me beautiful.
We're going to all be old someday if we're lucky.
Yeah, you're really upsetting Tommy Lee Jones right now. He has always been known as the melting man, and he will not let anyone else have that title, ever.
That's true. Or Bob Dylan.
Yeah, last time I was aware. I was like, wait, what's his name? Robert Redford. He's still alive? I was like, when was the last time he made a movie?
Well, he made that movie with Tom Cruise, something for Lions.
Lions for Lambs.
Lions for Lambs. That's it.
A movie nobody saw?
Well, that's the thing is that he actually works pretty steadily.
And he's got Sundance.
Of course, the Sundance guy. He produces a lot of stuff.
I need to see that movie Sundance.
He's kind of gotten to that point where it's like, look, it seems clear that he really doesn't give but so much of a shit if his films make a lot of money anymore.
Yeah, he doesn't.
He just makes little personal films, generally speaking, these days. And that's fine. He's Robert Redford. He earned the right to, quite frankly, whatever the fuck he wants to at this point.
That's true.
Which, in this case, is the man is a bit of a liberal.
Oh, really?
A little bit.
I would never have guessed it.
A little bit there.
Yeah. Just a little bit.
And the Company You Keep follows the story of, if you've ever heard of the Weather Underground, they were a real group that was around in the 60s that was like the most fervent of the anti-Vietnam War groups that were actually, they were American terrorists. They were committing crimes and blowing up stuff to protest the war, which is not usually advertised as much these years later. Everyone's like, the 60s, peace and love, man. Peace, love, and fuck shit up.
Yeah,
there was a lot of that, too.
And I am not unfamiliar enough with the Weather Underground to know exactly how accurate some of the stuff is in this film, but in the film's context, several of the members were never caught. Mm-hmm. And when the film starts, it starts with basically Susan Sarandon, who's, she's just living her life day to day. The FBI shows up, Terrence Howard going like, I still have a job!
well, now, to be fair, she's decided, okay, my kids are grown up. It's time for you to pay for my crimes. I'm just going to go turn myself in. Yeah.
But the problem
she doesn't get to the corner store getting a gallon of gasoline before Terrence Howard shows up with his entire army. Like, we got you, bitch!
Dressed up as War Machine, which is weird enough. I'm like, wait a minute, you can't do that.
This is just getting embarrassing, quite frankly. But this, of course, is sending shockwaves everywhere because no one's heard hide nor hair of any of the. They were kind of given up on by the general populace. Like, it wasn't big news thinking about the Weather Underground.
Yeah, but Terrence Howard, he's that new manager who wants to make a name for himself.
Yeah, he is that guy who's playing I'm going to be as big a dick as I can to get this shit done, and then everyone's going to know who Terrence Howard is. But another thing sticking in his craw is Shia LaBeouf. More evidence of Robert Redford's getting old because he cast Shia LaBeouf.
I know. He thinks that guy's cool.
That guy's always sticking in somebody's craw. Even Optimus Prime. He's like, damn it, I'm the star of my movie. What the hell?
Yeah, let's see him in one more movie where he's used as a toothpick for Optimus Prime.
You guys remember back when Steven Spielberg was telling us that Shia LaBeouf was going to be a big deal? We were all going to love him.
Yeah, but you remember?
So you remember when he also said that about Indiana Jones?
You remember all of us going, I don't believe you, Steve. I'm not really crazy about him.
Show me. That's not it.
But he plays a young, up-and-coming investigative reporter who gets a lead on a story and decides to go crazy with it, just like devote everything into trying to figure it out because it's a tiny thing, like the tiniest little lead, but it suggests that a local lawyer in the same, nearby Susan Sarandon has, played by Robert Redford, named Jim Grant, has a connection of some sort or other, some tenuous connection in this case. Basically because a mutual friend, played by Stephen Root, contacted him and said, look, she needs a lawyer. He's like, I can't be that.
Not it.
Not it. No.
Leave me out of it. Don't, look over there.
But it was enough that he recommended another lawyer, and that traced back. And so basically Shia LaBeouf gets hot on his trail, and this is enough to open it up really quickly. We're like, oh shit, he's one of the other guys who's been on the loose.
Yeah, this guy, for 30 years, has had this other identity as a lawyer. He's been this other identity longer than he was him the actual self.
Yeah.
And old Shia LaBeouf just can't let it go. And now he just completely upset the apple cart. And this man, who's in his late 60s, if not early 70s, has to leave his teenage daughter behind to go on the run.
With Chris Cooper.
Yeah.
Which is scary enough, but yeah.
But yeah, like you're thinking, okay, this is going to be The Fugitive, and it really kind of is. It's like an arty version of The Fugitive.
Right.
And I kept saying as I was watching this movie needs more of The Fugitive.
It needs more Tommy Lee and more Harrison Ford.
Well, not necessarily those actors, but just like that idea of like, hey, this could be a thrilling film. It's a really interesting story. The way it starts developing with the whole like, okay, clearly Redford thinks there's something else that we don't know yet.
Right.
There's something about how like, well, maybe he's actually innocent of this stuff, but knew there was no easy way to get out of it, so he went on the run early on. And so there are all these different levels of stuff going on there, and yet the movie spends so much time toying with really a subplot that goes nowhere.
Yep.
With various other people who were involved in a point that I don't want to say because it's a third act.
It is a twist, but it's one of those twists where if you were to somehow fall asleep and miss this twist, this movie doesn't mean
it doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter.
In this movie, I consider this a thriller without the thrill. I mean, I just call it but
it's just an
it's just
this
an
movie is an
Yeah, I mean, there's so many ways to make this story a little bit more interesting. Like, just give it that extra push it needed to have you interested. But the whole time, I was really like struggling with this movie. I'm like, sure, this is all great performances, but I don't care. I don't care because they're not making these characters interesting. It's like they're paying attention to minute details that really don't pan out to much of anything. You know, and every chance you get every chance you get to know these characters, they spend so very little time, especially when, you know, these important characters are having dialogue about what happened in the past, or, you know, the what they're trying to get over as far as, you know, why, you know, Robert Redford's character is doing what he's doing. I mean, they pay very little attention to it because they keep going back to Shia LaBeouf, who, you know, is pretty much playing Lois Lane throughout the whole movie, trying to get information and stuff that, you know, it really is not interesting.
He's sucking air out of this story. Mm-hmm. Every time they go to him and Britt Marling, who sort of a quasi information source or love interest for him, every time you're like, I don't care. Yeah. I don't care if this guy finds love. Yeah. I don't care if he talks to people. He's ruining what's going on. And the thing is, the movie it's interesting in its setup, and it's interesting when you're watching Robert Redford get away. Like the little ways he has to get away. You go like, you know what? If had an FBI, it might not be as hard as I think it is. But unfortunately, it kind of comes to a place that's sort of a dud. Yeah. I felt like once you finally get to where he's going and what he's trying to do, you're like, that's it. I mean, it's basically a chance for him to reunite with Julie Christie. Yeah. It's like he just said, like, hey, I want to bring back my love interest from my old films, and people who love those films can see us now. And it's like, I think they're all dead, or they don't go to the movies anymore.
I know. I kept wondering, where's Clint Eastwood? Where's the rest of the dead the white actors that are about to be dead? You know, they should all be in this ensemble.
Because, like I said, it's a fugitive chase film with very little actual chasing that spends most of its time following this boring ass reporter who, in a restructuring, any sensible restructuring of a film like this, should have been a minor role just to get things started and maybe be involved in a third act, like, informational twist. But no, we spend so much time with him that we're like, who gives a fuck? Robert Redford is the interesting character in this film. And even then, even when the chase comes to its climax, when it's at its most, they're like, here he is, he's finally caught up with Julie Christie, the only one who can save him. Let's just sit and talk for 50 minutes.
I kept thinking to myself, Robert, stop directing your movies if you can't even make time to direct your own scenes. It's like, I know. You're giving yourself very little screen time. I don't get it.
But did anyone really want to see the two of them just reminiscing about how much cooler it was when they were young?
No. I love that they kept showing like old pictures of the entire cast right when they were like when they were like the Leonardo DiCaprios of their time.
Right.
I'm like, look, that time is over. Stop showing me these old pictures. All right. I'll go to your house and look at your photo books. I don't need to see it in a movie.
It's it's not a favor to go, hey, look at how handsome I used to be. You remember when I was the most handsome man in America and everybody made jokes about it? Remember? Anyone? Wait, wake her up. Get the paddles. She'll remember.
I played the Great Gatsby first, by the way.
Terrence Howard, who keeps trying for his comeback, and here it's like, oh, you're kind of the bad guy here, but you're not like a villain. You're like, you're kind of the Tommy Lee Jones guy in The Fugitive. Wow, that's amazing. Who else is in this movie? Oh man, Redford, Julie Christie, Susan Smith, Brendan Gleeson, Britt Marling, Anna Kendrick, Richard Jenkins, Nick Nolte, Sam Elliott, Stephen Root, Stanley Tucci, and Chris Cooper. Fuck! I know. Sign me up. Oh, man. There.
Well, that's the thing. You look at this cast list, you go like, geez, how can this go wrong? Yeah. And it's like, it happens more often than you think.
What he forgot to do is read the right side of all those names where it all says cameos.
Very small appearance.
Yeah, but that is the thing. With so many people, not everybody can get sufficient screen time, and they don't.
And they build stuff that, like, you're like, why did you even bother if it's not going to go anywhere? Like they're playing with that relationship with Shia LaBeouf and Britt Marling later on, but early on, it was like, they're toying with one with him and Anna Kendrick that actually has a little bit of spark to it.
Right.
And you're like, oh, this could be fun.
Right.
And then it's completely abandoned, and we never see her again.
Well, Susan Sarandon, who starts the movie off, who's a central character to all this, there's a point when, like, she disappears, and you figure she'll come back later. Nope. Yeah. Wrong.
I was hoping for her old big Terrence Howard and her to have a big Silence of the Lambs scene.
Right.
I need to find Redford before he, gets away again. Makes another movie that goes nowhere.
But Terrence Howard through this whole movie. God damn it, people! Y'all can't catch this old man. Come on, Shia LaBeouf. I'ma lean on you, brother. You better tell me something.
Sir, don't allow yourself to get spun by these people.
I don't get spun.
Well, you've been pretty soft on her from the very beginning. We're the good guys here, but you seem not to care. You write an article that blasts my team publicly for doing our jobs well, and you make her out to be
I didn't blast anybody. She was turning herself in. That's what I wrote.
No, there was no deal. We had intel. We tracked her. We made the arrest. Now, where's that article? We took a 30-year fugitive off the street and would have gotten her partner if it hadn't been for some two-bit journalists interfering.
Would you even know who he was if it wasn't for me?
Well, you do seem awfully tied into these people. So Lars only talks to you. You meet with Sloan 2 days before he disappears, giving him a big head start, if not more. Perhaps you're a little more interesting than I initially thought.
Y'all let him go again? What?
I kept thinking, man, you need a more powerful voice. Terrence Howard, you and Don Cheadle, I don't know how you guys got hired to play even a War Machine. I was like, you need to use that Batman voice or something and give yourself some power. I don't know. I just kept laughing every time he was yelling.
But it's, like I said, it's a shame because there is the core of a pretty good movie here. It just ends up meandering, quite frankly. I mean, Redford needs to take a look back at Hollywood proper and go, look, man, you're going to make a thriller. It has to be thrilling. Don't sell us this one that ultimately doesn't even really have that much to say. I think that's the big core of the problem here. Despite that, it's wonderful seeing so many good actors in here, and there are nice moments throughout. It's really pretty dull film, and I just give this a rental.
I'm right there with you. It's like I was willing to forgive it, even though there's no reason I should have. Mm-hmm. But I was until it gets to the climax where I go, wow, that's it. That's all you had. And for Shia LaBeouf's part, it's like, well, kid, I hope you learned something. It's like, whatever. The kid's a dick. I don't know why he would learn anything from this. This doesn't even make any sense. Yeah, it kind of leaves you high and dry. And it's like, all right, whatever, rental.
Yeah, you're using that word very loosely here, climax, because there is no climax. This whole movie reminded me of A Christmas Story when I'm in the bathroom trying to figure out the code, and you realize, like, remember to drink your Ovaltine? All that for a stupid ending? It didn't do anything for me. I'm being very nice here, dude, just to the acting, but yeah, it's a rental.
To be fair to Redford, like, his climaxes probably come so rarely these days anyway.
Come on,
and they're probably kind of peter out anyway. Just saying. Maybe he's a little confused about what that means these days.
Really?
Sorry, I want to put a new wrinkle in the Redford story. Leon's going to kill me.
Where's Corey to hit the button?
Our government was murdering millions. We never betrayed each other, any of us, over all these years.
Got him.
You have a full green light.
What are you willing to take a risk for?
You're about to do a lot of damage to a lot of people.
I would be damn sure you know what you're talking about.
We all died. Some of us came back.
Secrets are a dangerous thing, man. You get answers, but not the ones you think.